All right. Shalom, Israel. You live at the Israelite School of Universal Practical Knowledge. Your brothers and sisters tuning in. You can like, share the class, let everybody know we live, man. We're gonna get into it today. I think I gave y'all enough time for folks to get in here, man. Priest and Captain Soccer War coming to y'all live from Memphis, Tennessee. Every Tuesday, Wednesday, and Thursday. Also Saturdays from 12 to 2. We have classes here in Memphis. The address to the school is 3000 Walnut Grove Road, Suite 215. Again, 3000 Walnut Grove 15 is the address to the school here in Memphis. You brothers and sisters tuning in, if you got family, loved ones, people you care about in Memphis, Tennessee, and the surrounding areas, get them in contact with the ISUPK. Since 1969, the Israelite School of Universal Practical Knowledge has been teaching so-called blacks, Hispanics, and Native Indians the truth according to the Bible. What is the truth? The truth is that so-called blacks, Hispanics, and Native Indians descend from the greatest people that have ever walked the face of the earth. The Bible identifies us as the lost 12 tribes of the nation of Israel. In the year 2023, there is nothing more important than for God's chosen people to learn the truth of who we are, where we come from, and what our purpose is on the earth. Um, what we like to do with these classes is give brothers and sisters an opportunity to go into this book called the Bible, to regain the knowledge, wisdom, and understanding that the Most High has placed inside of this book in order to facilitate us coming back to being the people the Most High called us to be, reclaiming our righteous place on the earth as kings, priests, princesses, and daughters of Zion. With that being said, I'd like to start the class off with questions. If no brothers and sisters have any questions, we'll go on to tonight's topic or today's topic. And the topic of today's class is um, all the output. Okay, yeah, the topic of hold up. Boom, boom, boom. Okay. Topic of today's class is going to be vessels of honor. All right, we're going to talk about what happens when a people who have been stripped and robbed of their history, of their culture, and their heritage uh, are given the task of starting from the beginning to establish a legacy for themselves in the earth and establish a name among the other nations and the other peoples that have inherited the earth throughout generations, and um, not necessarily pitfalls, but I want to provide some context for the condition that black people find themselves in here in America, uh, having been stripped of our history and our culture and our heritage and our connection to the past. How do you start at nothing as a people and then go about establishing who you are, who you are, where you're from, and what your purpose is going forward? Like the great evil that has been done to our people in this land of America by our oppressor is um, creating a situation and a circumstance where if you start at nothing, anything that you have or anything you can do is an upgrade. Anything is better than nothing. And because of the lies, because of the propaganda, because of the indoctrination that has been pushed on black people concerning our history and our past, as slaves, as people who were savages, as people who lived largely uncivilized prior to our interactions or encounters with Europeans or with the so-called white man. Anything that we do, anything that we accomplish, anything that we're able to thrive, what's the word I'm looking for? Anything that we're able to shine in is considered progression. It's considered better than where you started. And that the concept that everything or anything is progress or anything is better than having nothing is largely what is holding us back as a people today. The reason why so-called black people cannot separate from our oppressor and see ourselves gathering together and creating a society and a culture and a, I don't want to say civilization, but creating a society that's separate and isolated from our oppressors, is that um, because we've started from nothing, or because we've started from what has been taught to us by our oppressor, um, everybody is great. Everybody is amazing. Everybody that's doing anything should be applauded and should be celebrated, because how can you hate on someone who started with nothing and has made something of themselves? Like in the black community today, you can't speak about what someone is doing wrong in the black community without someone in the black community saying you're a hater, you're jealous, you're judging. Because we were told that we started from nothing, because we were told that we were just slaves, because we've been told that we have no history, we have no culture, we have no great contributions to the earth prior to being enslaved by our oppressor. Anybody that does anything that gets them some money, gets them some fame, gets them some notoriety, puts their families in a position where they can eat good and have wealth and live a good life, man, you got to celebrate that. You got to applaud that. And if you talk bad about anybody that's done whatever they had to do to make it out, whatever they had to do to get ahead, man, you hate, you talking down. When if being a people that have had to start with nothing, because again, our history, our culture, our legacy is slavery. Anything you do starting from slavery, it's wonderful. It's amazing. It's everybody is golden. Everybody is great. Black people weren't the first ones to have. We're not the first people on the earth to have that experience. We're not the first people on the earth to experience that condition. So when you start from nothing, and anything you do is considered progress. Anything you do is considered a step forward. Uh, then nothing can be scrutinized. Nothing can be um, judged. Nothing can be deemed inappropriate or unacceptable or intolerable. You know what I'm saying? And the way that black people have been set up as the scapegoat in America for a uh, what's the word I'm looking for? Black people, because of the condition that our oppressor has relegated us to in the society, we are the voice and the spokespeople for, you know, you can't tell me what to do. You can't tell anybody that their way of life is wrong, that the way they choose to live is inappropriate. Because to do that, it makes you a bigot. To do that makes you discriminate. You're discriminating. To do that, you're holding someone back from living their life and being their best selves. And that is a it's a condition that uh creates a path towards accepting things that are dishonorable. I'm gonna make it make sense in a second. We're gonna get into the scriptures, all right? But that's what tonight's class is gonna be about. If anybody has any questions in the class in the room, raise your hand. If you got any questions online, all you gotta do is type them in. Again, the topic of today's class is vessels of honor. All right, vessels of honor. We're gonna go into the Bible. We're gonna start with um, we start with 2 Timothy chapter 2, verse 20. Here's the truth about life on the earth. Here's the truth. Here's the reality of our existence, right? Everybody was created for a purpose. The Most High is the author of life. He created all of us, the heavens, the universe, the sun, the moon, the stars. All things were created by the Most High. And everything that the Most High created serves a purpose. From the smallest ant to the largest whale in the ocean, to the biggest elephant, down to the termites that live under your house. Everything that the Most High created, He created for a purpose, and the purpose that He created it for is perfect for Him. That also extends to people. Everybody who lives on the earth, everybody who has their heart pumps blood, their lungs taking oxygen and push out CO2, carbon dioxide. Everybody has a purpose. We all were made for a reason. And with that understanding, everybody, you have to accept that everybody has a part to play in life. Everybody has a role. Now, we don't live in a perfect world. We don't live in a world where everybody is good. We don't live in a world where everybody is the best versions of themselves. We don't live in a world where everybody is benevolent. We live in a world where some people are malevolent, some people are evil, some people are violent, some people are wicked, and some people are peaceful, some people are loving, some people are kind and understanding. When you understand that everybody was made for a purpose and that everybody has a role to play in life, then you must also accept what we're going to read here in 2 Timothy chapter 2, verse 20. All right. So 2 Timothy chapter 2, verse 20. Let's go ahead and get it. Again, the topic of tonight's class is vessels of honor. And starting out with the scripture, we're going to establish that not all vessels were made for honor. There were some vessels made for dishonor. Let's go ahead and get it. All right. Man, Timothy, where you at? Bear with me. It's good practice, man, to be able to get into your Bible and flip through these pages. I gotta get me one of them little tabs so I can just go ahead and go right to the book. If anybody out there tuning in, if you know where I can get some of them tabs at, type me a link in the comments so I can access that. I need to be able to find me some of them tabs you put in your Bible. You can write the name of the book on there so I ain't gotta keep doing all this flipping. All right, but for you young brothers out there tuning in the class, you sisters as well, these classes are an excellent opportunity for you to get familiar with your Bible, especially you brothers that be going out on the streets teaching. You young men go out on the streets reading. You want to get practice with the Bible, man. Get practice with flipping through these pages and knowing where the books are and how to find them. You can tell I've been out of practice sometimes as far as being out there on the street. It's been a long time since I was a brother that went to camp to read. You know what I'm saying? But here we go. 2 Timothy chapter 2, verse 20. All right. And it says, but in a great house, there are not only vessels of gold and of silver, but also of wood and of earth, and some to honor and some to dishonor. Everybody understands. What is the metaphor that's being used here? In a great house could be your house. A great house could be a mansion, a presidential palace. A great house could be, the where the family reunion is taking place. In a great house, right? A great house could also be a nation. A great house could also be a race of people. In a great house, right? There are vessels, not only vessels of gold and of silver. What are the vessels of gold and silver? A lot of us grew up a lot of us grew, if you grew up with your grandmother, a lot of us from a certain generation, grandmother had a china cabinet, right? And this is a wonderful tradition that we used to have in the black community. And I don't know if it's still kept up today. I know I don't keep it in my house. I don't have a china cabinet in my house with expensive plates that we only, we never eat from. But there was a time in the black community where in everybody's grandmother's house or grandfather's house, their grandmother kept a cabinet that had nice, pretty plates in that cabinet, nice, pretty glasses, nice, pretty decorative silverware that you only used on special occasions if you ever used it at all. You understand? I remember my grandmother's house, there was a china cabinet, and we pulled those dishes out only for Thanksgiving. Thanksgiving, man, it was a giant crystal bowl that my grandmother used to make punch in. And I remember this back when, I don't know if they even still get this at the store. You go in the store and then you go to the freezer section and be a giant block of frozen punch, right? To this day, as an adult, I don't know what the hell was in this block of whatever this thing was. But my grandmother used to go to the store, and in the freezer section, there was a giant block of flavor. And every holiday, she would pull out that big crystal bowl and put it in the middle of the table, and she would run hot water over the plastic container of this, whatever this goodness was that came out of the freezer at the grocery store. And once it got, I guess, thawed out enough, she would take the plastic, open the bucket up, take the top off, and she would dump this punch in the middle of the crystal bowl, right? She'd dump it out. It'd still be a lot of primarily ice, right? But it had like lemon in it and lime chunks. And she would put it in the middle of the crystal bowl, and then she would get ginger ale, 2 liters of ginger ale, Canada Dry. If you drink Schweppes, I think you might be a serial killer or something. She'd take the Canada Dry ginger ale, open it up, and she'd pour like 3 or 4 2 liters of ginger ale over top of this fruity frozenness that came out of this punch bowl. And there was a spoon that we would use to go in the crystal bowl to pour our juice, right? But I'm saying that because that crystal bowl that my grandmother made that punch in was part of her special china cabinet dishes, right? There also was plates that was in that china cabinet they were white plates with like gold trim around the outside edge. And those were the plates that was set on the table for the food to be put in. And you didn't eat off those plates. Those were the serving plates, right? And again, holidays, Thanksgiving, Christmas, those big dinners, those are grandma's special plates. And that's the metaphor that's being used here in 2 Timothy 2 and 20. In a great house, there are not only vessels of gold and of silver. You don't only have the china cabinet dishes. You don't only have the nice cups that come out, you know what I'm saying, during that time as well. Another thing about that china cabinet is in that cabinet, there were glasses that were used for drinking liquor, right? That cabinet with those nice, pretty glasses, those glasses didn't get used every day for Kool-Aid. You didn't go in grandma's cabinet and get those glasses to pour you some, Tang or pour you, some Kool-Aid. Those glasses were made specially for ice and that brown stuff that used to be in that bottle. You know what I'm saying? And you was a kid, you could not drink out of this glass because what's in that glass is for grown-ups. You understand? Part of those special vessels were the glasses that the grown-ups would drink liquor out of. As a kid, you never got to touch those glasses. You better stay away. And it's funny because again, I did not keep that tradition in my home as an adult. So I don't have special glasses in my house. I don't have special cups that only the grown-ups drink out of, or that I only drink out of on special occasion. But there was a time in the black community where we held uh, special and treated with care those certain vessels that were made for honor. And in this, and the scripture is telling us that in a great house, you don't only have those vessels. You don't only have the plates and the cups that belong in the china cabinet that you only eat off of once a year, but you also have vessels of wood and of earth. You understand? You have the cups that get used every day. Pour you some water, pour you some Kool-Aid. The plates that you eat off of every day get thrown in the dishwasher and they get washed and dried, and you pull them out again and you use them. You get the forks and the spoons and the knives that you use every day. Those are your vessels of wood and earth. Meaning what? They're not regarded as special or as unique as the special vessels that belong in a china cabinet. These are your everyday, run of the mill dishes. So they don't get treated with the same reverence and the same regard. They don't have the same honor as the dishes that are in the china cabinet, right? But does that mean that the vessels of wood and earth are less than the vessels of gold and silver? Does that mean that the vessels of wood and earth are less necessary than the vessels of gold and silver? No, no. They all serve the same purpose. They all serve the same function, even though there's a different level of reverence that are given to them. The vessels of wood and earth should not be jealous of the vessels of gold and silver. The vessels of gold and silver shouldn't boast themselves as better than or greater than the vessels of wood and earth. They both should be acknowledged and appreciated and regarded for the purpose that they serve. Everybody understands. Reading on verse 21. We're at the end of verse 20. Um, and some to honor and some to dishonor. Some vessels are used to honor. Some vessels are used to dishonor. What is that? Some vessels is a glass you drink from. A glass that you pour water in and you drink something refreshing and wonderful, makes you feels good. And then there are vessels of dishonor. There's a that punch bowl that comes out during the holidays that everybody drinks from, and then there's a toilet that everybody goes to use, and they discard their waste there. Both of them are vessels. Both of them were made to serve a purpose, and they serve their purpose well. But one vessel was made for honor, another vessel was made for dishonor. Doesn't mean they aren't both necessary. Doesn't mean they aren't both required. One was made for honor, one was made for dishonor. So if we take it outside of the metaphor of the great house and the pots and the plates and the cups and the silverware, and we apply it to a nation, we apply it to a race of people, or just a group of people. Among every race of people, among every group of people, there are vessels made of for honor. There are people that were made to be in the spotlight, people that were made to be seen by all and admired and uh, acknowledged and looked up to. Some people were made to be leaders. Some people were made to be in charge. Some people were made to be responsible, to carry on the burdens of leadership, of guidance, of you know being the standard bearer. And then there were people that were made to just be told what to do. People that were made to just, uh, you know, get with the program. People that were made to never really be seen, never really to be heard from, never really to be acknowledged by the masses. Does that mean that the person who was made to be a leader is more important than the person that was made to follow? Does it mean that the person that was made to be strong and mighty and fearless is more valuable than the person that was made to be vulnerable and weak and in need of protection? So the problem that we have as a people in America is that we don't know or recognize that there were some vessels that were made for honor and there were others that were made for dishonor. Because we were taught that we all were nothing at one point, anybody that does anything should be regarded as a vessel of honor. And that is how you have the condition that exists within our society and our community today as Black people, where uh, the people who should never be heard from, who should never be seen, who should never be looked to as leaders or standard bearers or trendsetters are the ones who are doing just that. The vessels that were made for dishonor are being regarded and lifted up and acknowledged as though they are the vessels of gold and the vessels of silver. And so next we're going to go into what makes a person a vessel of gold. What makes a person a vessel of silver versus someone who's a vessel of wood or a vessel of earth. What's the difference between a vessel of honor and a vessel of dishonor? All right, let's drop that. Let's go to Romans. Let's go to Romans chapter 9. We'll be coming back to Timothy. We're going to go to Romans chapter 9 right now. All right. All right, get Romans chapter 9. All right. Let's go. Man, hold on. All right, yeah, Romans chapter 9. Do Romans chapter 9, verse 21. All right. All right. Romans chapter 9, verse 21 says, has not the potter power over the clay of the same lump to make one vessel unto honor and another unto dishonor? If we take the metaphor in Second Timothy chapter 2, verse 20 of in a great house there are vessels of gold and silver and vessels of wood and earth, and we take it outside of the metaphor and apply it to people on the earth. Right? Everybody was made for a purpose. Everybody was made by the Most High. Everybody was created to be who they are and to serve the purpose that they have on this earth. And everybody's purpose is necessary. How do we know that? Because everybody has life. There's not a single person on the earth that is breathing right now that has not been sent here to fulfill a purpose. Doesn't have a reason for their living. And that should be encouraging to anyone out there, regardless of your race, regardless of your uh, class, regardless of your uh, wealth status. And you have life. Uh, you're important. You're still here with us. You're here for a reason. And you should fight to find that reason, man. You should go through whatever is necessary in order to find your purpose. What is the reason why you're here? I remember before I came into the truth, I used to look at my life and I used to say, man, I know that God did not put me here. I'm going to tell you what gave me this mindset. There's a song by UGK. And there's a song by UGK where at the end of one of the songs, UGK is a rap group from Houston. And they used to rap about pimping and rap about selling drugs and just rap about being in the streets. But there's a song at the end where Pimp C says, I know God ain't put me down here just to be serving no fiends. You know what I'm saying? And hearing that as a young boy, I know God ain't put me down here just to be serving no fiends, made me consider, well, why did God put me down here? And that question that was sparked in me by a song that a rapper made is what drove me in my life to where I am now in fulfilling my purpose as being a priest and a captain and a teacher and a counselor and a mentor, and a vessel for the Most High to use, hell, a vessel of honor for the Most High to use to teach and to expound on His word. Um, Pimp C saying God ain't put me down here just to be serving no fiends is the reason why I could not enjoy myself in the club most nights. Even though I had money, even though bottles were being popped, even though they were fine women around and my friends were there. I know God ain't put me down here for this, man. That question was the reason why, that statement was the reason why I couldn't enjoy most nights that I went home, with women and I don't even know this chick. Yeah, she pretty, whatever, but I don't even know her. She don't even know me. We just here because I'm the guy that was in the club with some money, or because she's the fine chick that was in the VIP, and it's like I know God ain't put me down here for this. There's got to be more to life. I got money. I had nice things, and those things were just things. And it was like, I know this is not why God put me here. And when you arrive at a place in life where you got the things they say you're supposed to want, but it's like, is this why God put me here? And the answer inevitably is no. There's an emptiness there. There's an incompleteness that's there, and there's a lot of us in this life that struggle with that. A lot of people, a lot of us, we have a good life, man. Good little job, wife, kids, family. Living a decent life, drive a nice little car, got some money in the bank, able to take little vacations. But every once in a while, you stop and you ask yourself, and you may not have put the words to it, right? Pimp C gave me the words to understand that emptiness. I know God ain't put me down here to be serving no fiends. You know, I know God ain't put me down here just to be getting money and stunting on niggas. God ain't put me down here just to be, riding a nice whip. God ain't put me down here to be using and abusing my sisters. God ain't put me down here to be, you know, uh, clowning and belittling my brothers because they ain't getting money like I'm getting. God ain't put me down here just to be ignoring all of these poor, broke people, ignoring all of their suffering while I'm living and eating good. I know God ain't put me here for this. And that a lot of us go most of our lives with that question going unanswered, right? I mean, it's that statement going unaddressed. I know God ain't put me down here. I know there's a sister that, she's selling her body on OnlyFans. She might be getting some money, but I know she thinks to herself, I know God ain't put me down here just to be doing this. You know what I'm saying? There's somebody out there who's, that that crisis of conscience. It's real. And I know all of us experience it. But it is that what drives you to become a vessel of honor or to be relegated to being a vessel of dishonor. I kind of got off course. Let me go ahead and get back to the scripture, right? Romans chapter 9, verse 20. Verse 21. Has not the potter power over the clay of the same lump to make one vessel unto honor and another unto dishonor? God is the creator of all. He had the power in making all of us and giving all of us life to decide that some of us were going to be vessels of honor and some of us were going to be vessels of dishonor. In the grand scheme of all human existence and all the people that are on the earth, not everybody was made to be great. Not everybody was made to be a leader. Not everybody was made to be someone that should be admired and respected and looked up to. Some people were made to be some people were made to be shamed. Some people were made to be ostracized. There's some people who embrace and exhibit behaviors that should be an example to all of us that this is not what you want to be. This is what you don't want to become. And all of us in our lives have had people and experiences, as people, what shapes us and what molds us into who we are our experiences and interactions with other people. You know, if it wasn't for all the brothers who I grew up with that chose, I ain't gonna say chose, that for whatever reason fell into the trap of being in the streets, of trying to get fast money, of trying to be that man, of trying to be that dude, trying to be that nigga that failed. All of witnessing their failures is what made me know that that's not for me. And I knew at a very early age, like, I ain't built for no, I'm not built for no gangster life because I can't handle the consequences that come with it. I'm not going to do anything that's going to jeopardize my freedom. I'm not going to do anything that's going to potentially land me in a place where, you know, I can't get up and go outside or see women or talk to my mama or, play the video game. I can't do anything that's going to jeopardize me being free. I don't care what it costs. I don't care how much money comes with it. I don't care what kind of rides you could buy. I'm not going to do something that could jeopardize my freedom. And I watched many of my friends who felt like they were built for that life go down the path that led them into prison, led them to die, led them to lose their life. Um, and it was being able to witness them falling into that trap that propelled me to, excel above it and beyond it. I say this in classes I've taught before. I carry with me every day the brothers who didn't get the opportunity the Lord gave me. I carry with me today the brothers that fell in the streets, the brothers that got lost to the system, the brothers that got lost to prison, the brothers that, died to gun violence. I carry them with me today because their life will not be in vain. I will not let it be said that the Lord had them in my life for me to witness the tragedy that they befell, for me to just go ahead and follow right behind them. Like, nah, the Lord gave me an opportunity to do something special, to do something unique, to be a vessel of honor. And I thank him and I honor him for all of the vessels of dishonor, for all the vessels of wood and earth that he put in my life to enable me to be thankful and appreciative and accepting of everything that comes with the blessing and the burden that he's given me. It's not easy to live a life of honor. It's not easy to be on this path of righteousness. It's not easy to wake up every day and to face head on all of the the known ills and pitfalls of this society. Um, I'll get into some scriptures on. I'm not gonna. I'm not gonna give my personal experience with it. But it's not easy to live this life, and in order to make it living this life, you have to be able to acknowledge that this is the Most High's doing, which goes into the next verse in Romans chapter 9, verse 21. Well, 9, verse 20, right? I'm going to read verse 9 and 21 again. It says, have not the potter power over the clay of the same lump to make one vessel unto honor and another unto dishonor? It's up to the creator what purpose his creation serves, right? He has the power to make one vessel unto honor and another unto dishonor. And with that being the reality of life, with that being the reality of all of us as people living on the earth, let's go a verse up and read Romans chapter 9, verse 20. Nay, but O man, who art thou that replies against God? Shall the thing formed say to him that formed it, why hast thou made me thus? That's a rough place to be in life, where you're questioning your existence, where you're questioning, why did you put me here? Why did you make me this way? The society we live in today encourages people to ask that question. It encourages people to reply against God, to say to God, why did you make me this way? Right? It's being taught to us that it's being taught that people should accept that they were born a man. God, in their mother's womb, formed them to have a penis, formed them to have testicles, formed them biologically to be a man. And at some point in their lives, they reply against God and say, why did you make me this way? I should have been a woman. I am a woman. You gave me these testicles. You gave me this testosterone. You gave me, all the things that the Most High gives a man. But then that man replies and says, why did you make me this way? God made a mistake. God, you were wrong. God wasn't wrong. God didn't make a mistake. Who are you to reply against God and say, why did you make me this way? I don't want to be this. Maybe God did God did exactly what he intended to do, which was to make you to be a vessel unto dishonor. What if there are some people who were made by God to fulfill the purpose of being a vessel unto dishonor? Being the example that we all needed to see of what life shouldn't be, of what you shouldn't aspire to, of what, isn't noble and praiseworthy. Maybe everybody ain't, you know, uh, everybody shouldn't be celebrated. Everybody isn't a star. Everybody isn't something that's wonderful and amazing. This society, this culture we live in, they want you to believe that everybody was made to shine. That everybody was made to be gold. Everybody was made to, have a voice that should be heard. Everybody should be, listened to and acknowledged and praised and honored and revered. Nah, man, that doesn't work. That's not reality. You can't have a society and a culture. You can't have a society and a civilization and a community where everything that everybody does is great and wonderful. Nah, come on. It's ridiculous. That's what America wants you to believe. And America doesn't want everybody to believe that. America wants particularly black people to believe that. Right? In the in all races, in all cultures that are on the earth today, it is accepted that certain behaviors can be scrutinized. Certain mindsets can be questioned. That certain, ways of life can be examined for whether they are beneficial or not, whether they are acceptable or not, whether they are appropriate or not, based on the norms that are established in said culture, said civilization, or said community. The only community where you're not allowed to question what anybody does is the black community. But why is that? Why is the black community special to where whatever you do, if you black, hey man, that's your prerogative. That's do your thing. Can't nobody judge you because the starting place for black people is zero. Starting place is nothing. The starting place is slavery. And when you start from slavery, anything anybody does is okay. When you when you start from nothing, to grow up to be Saucy Santana is, man, that's wonderful. He made a way out. Look at him, that makeup on, and with all of those, those women's clothes. He getting money. He getting to a bag. He's establishing a legacy for his family. You go from having nothing and you become Puff Daddy. It's, man, look at Puff Daddy. Look at it doing it big. You know, you got all the fine women and all the big parties, and everybody want to hang out with him and be seen with him. Man, it's wonderful. It doesn't matter that he's raping men, raping women and having men perform sexual acts and all the deviancy and the wickedness that comes along with that. Hey man, he made it out. That's all that matters. He made a name for himself. He put himself up there, in the billionaire club. All of that goofy, all of that silliness that black people celebrate, it's the ramifications of, believing we started with nothing, believing we've come from zero. Started at the bottom, now we're here. That is a uniquely black American, this is uniquely, yeah, black American, sentiment. It's not just black American. Also, the people of the diaspora, the descendants of slaves, right? The people from the Caribbean, the people from North, Central, and South America who were colonized and conquered. Started from the bottom, now we're here is a model that we can identify with. Chinese, not so much. The Russians, not so much. Even the European in America, their bottom ain't your bottom. Their nothing isn't our nothing. Why? Because their nothing, the zero started from the bottom that we hear for a Caucasian in America. Even starting at zero, you have a government, you have a military, you have a history, you have a culture, you have a way, you have a celebrated, um, you know, uh, societal structure, celebrated way of life, right? You got men who have can teach you how to be masculine, and women who can show your daughters how to be feminine, and you have the representations of healthy families on the television and on the radio and in the media. There is a clear path for you to become successful and to become a vessel of honor in your community. Well, when you're starting from the bottom as a black person, not so much. You don't have a government. You don't have a military for your people. You don't have images and representations in the media of what a uh, healthy, wholesome, uh, what's the word I'm looking for? Healthy, wholesome, honorable family unit looks like. And so it's no wonder many of our real lives are reflections of the dysfunction that we've been shown or that's been displayed for us in the media and in the lives that we've lived. A lot of us as black people, particularly this generation, a lot of us don't come from two-parent homes. And even those of us who come from two-parent homes, there was a lot of dysfunction in those homes because those parents of ours who got together in the 60s and 70s, what was their example of a wholesome, functioning, honorable family unit? It's like, so our bottom was a lot lower than everybody else's. When you start with your bottom a lot lower than everybody else's, anything that you do can be celebrated, can be applauded, can be looked at as though it's honorable. But that's not true. It's not uh, the reality as God sees it. All right. Let me see something. Let's drop that. We got the vessels of honor, the vessels of dishonor. We got, can a man reply against God? Say, why hast thou made me thus? On the riches of his glory, on the vessels of mercy. Now we're gonna drop that. All right, let me get vessels of honor. Let me get let's get Isaiah chapter 29. It's Isaiah chapter 29, verse 16. Mm. Let's get Isaiah chapter 29 uh, and verse 24. No, it's Isaiah 29 and 14. Got Isaiah 29 and 14, all right? And so, because we live in a society and our culture is such that we praise anyone for doing anything because doing something is better than doing nothing, we have gone about establishing a place for ourselves in the earth as the vessels of dishonor. You think of the not think of, if you look at the perception of black people around the earth, you look at the way we're viewed by other nations based on how we're represented and presented to the world publicly. We are the vessels of honor. Our oppressor in this country has established us to be the people on the earth that everybody looks to and says, don't be like them. And there are many examples of that being the case, where other races of people come to America and they look at black people in America and they say, these people are lazy. These people are criminals. These people can't be trusted. These people are deviants. These people are sexual predators. These people are criminals. These people are violent. And we have accepted that that is how we've been presented to the world because that's better than being nothing. It's better than being nobody. There were a lot of rappers coming up in the early '90s when rap started out as an art form that was about speaking uh, to our suffering, speaking about the condition that we were in, being oppressed, being enslaved in America, being, fed drugs and poisons and given guns to kill one another, having gangs established in the name of the colors of red and blue to pit us against one another. Rap started out as an art form to speak about those things, to really rail against the powers that be, um, in a way that would empower the people to know that they weren't alone, to understand the condition that they were in. Somewhere along the way, that art form became popularized, became, started out as something that was by the people for the people and was hijacked and turned into something that was uh, by the powers that be for the people that would say what they wanted them to say. So a lot of the introduction of the gangster image into our culture and the gangster rap music that popularized and in many ways fantilized is the word I think they use. When you take something that ain't real and you fantasize it, you make it seem like it's something glamorous and wonderful when what you're selling it to be is not what it actually is. I think it's called you fantalize something. The gangster life was fantasized to us in our music and then on the television screen and in movies as though this was a way to live. This was a way to get ahead. When in reality, the only people that ever got ahead and made it big selling drugs were the people who were telling you that's what they did. Like meaning this, you know, no drug dealer has made more money than the record labels who were promoting artists that talked about selling drugs. You understand what I'm saying? Young Jeezy, in my generation, came out. I'm talking about Jeezy the Snowman. All of his music was about moving, selling cocaine, cooking cocaine in the crack, selling crack, making hundreds of thousands of dollars. I got, hold up. I got a drop top Chevy and how the song go? The Air Force's song. I went from old school Chevys to drop top Porsches. You couldn't walk a mile off in my Air Forces. You ain't seen what I seen. I can get 100,000 in these Sean John jeans. That's Young Jeezy's rapping, right? No one has made more money doing what Young Jeezy rapped about than the record execs who made money off Jeezy rapping about it. Everybody talk. Big Meats just came home. Oh, Big Meats, wonderful, amazing. Sold all the dope and drugs in Atlanta. They used to pop, million bottles in the club. Pop more bottles than the basketball players and the football players. Big Meats and BMF and the Black Mafia family never made close to as much money as Interscope Records made. Never made as much money. as never made close to as much money as Def Jam made promoting Jeezy's music. Never made as much money as Atlantic Records made off T.I. T.I. made trap music. No nigga ever trapping made more money than Atlantic Records made off of T.I. teaching you about trap in his music. And we become the scapegoat for America because anything was better than being a slave. Selling cocaine, selling dope. Hey, get your money, man. Do your thing, player. You know what I'm saying? Get rich or die trying. Because that's better than just being a slave. It's better than just being a sucker for the white man and going and clocking into their job every day. How foolish were we? How goofy were we? Going and clocking into their job every day is what everybody on the planet does. We actually thought that selling dope was better than having a 9 to 5. There are still black men to this day, 2024. There are black men that believe that selling drugs is more honorable than going and punching the clock. And that is because we have been taught that we started from nothing. The nigga who's working 9 to 5 can't tell the drug dealer he's wrong. Nigga, you just scared to get money. You scared to go to church. You go to that funky job every day. I go stand on this block and trap it out with the gangsters and the killers and the police, and I make money. Yeah, but you poisoning your people. You're killing your people. The women, it's like, if only we knew that there were some people among us that should just be ostracized. It should be canceled. They should be gotten rid of. They should be dishonored. They should be shamed. They should be belittled. They should be made an example out of. We don't have that as black people because our oppressor taught us that we're nobody. We're nothing. We don't have the connection to our history and our culture and our morality. We don't have the connection to the greatness that we once had in this earth. We don't even know that we once had a greatness. All we know is we were slaves. So anything we do after that is better than nothing. Because we've accepted that, because that is the position that we've allowed ourselves to be relegated to on the earth by our oppressors, Isaiah 29:14 is speaking to us in the present day. All right. Let's go ahead and get Isaiah chapter 29 and verse 14. Okay. This is the word of the Lord to a people that have accepted the lie that everybody was made to be a vessel of honor. Everybody was made to be great in their own right. And everybody was made to be amazing and special and should be celebrated and should be given their flowers and should be appreciated. This scripture we're about to read is for anyone who has accepted the idea that nobody should be told what not to do. Nobody should be told that they're wrong, that their means don't justify the ends. If you do that, you're hating. For people that believe that, this scripture is talking to them. All right. Isaiah 29:14. Therefore, behold, I will proceed to do a marvelous work among this people. Right? Even a marvelous work and a wonder. For the wisdom of their wise men shall perish, and the understanding of their prudent men shall be hid. Woe unto them that seek deep to hide their counsel from the Lord, and their works are in the dark. And they say, who sees us? And who knows us? Everybody understands. The Most High said, I'm going to do a wonderful thing among this people. All of their wise and understanding men, they're going to be hidden. Right now in our community, Donald Trump just got reelected. A lot of people scared about what that means for black people in this country. Project 2025 and all of these things. In the midst of a national crisis for our race of people, where are the leaders? Where are the people with tangible solutions for what we should do next? Who's got the game plan for how we as black people are going to survive Donald Trump. The Lord hit them. They're hard for you to find, right? I know the answer to these questions. It's Commander General Yohana. It's the Israelite School of Universal Practical Knowledge. But how well known is that? Right now, I'm teaching this class on a Saturday. There's 3 people in the classroom online. 3 people. Where's everybody else at? What is everybody else doing? What's more important right now than figuring out how to be a vessel of honor? Well, apparently, there's a whole lot of things that's more important. And that's why we are in the condition we're in. Right? The Lord is saying, I've hid the wise and prudent men. I've hid the men of understanding. You understand? And woe unto them that seek deep to hide their counsel from the Lord, and their works who are in the dark. And they say, who sees us and who knows us? Meaning what? We are in this condition as a people, not by accident. There are among us as black people those who know our history, those who know our culture, those who know what made us great in the past. And they have endeavored to hide that from us. They keeping that under wraps. Man, do not let these people know who they were in the past. Do not let them know about their former greatness. Do not let them know what it was that made them great and how they fell into the condition of being slaves. There is a concerted effort on the behalf of all the other nations on this earth to make sure that black people never regain consciousness of the history that has been lost to us. They're working tirelessly in every aspect of existence to make sure that we don't get back to knowing the truth of who we are. And the Lord is saying, I see your counsel. I see that you're hiding deep and doing things in the dark to hold this people back. And you say, who sees us and who knows us? Verse 16. Surely your turning of things upside down shall be esteemed as the potter's clay. For shall the work say of him that made it, he made me not? Or shall the thing framed say of him that framed it, he have no understanding? What does that mean? Verse top of verse 16 is surely your turning of things upside down shall be esteemed as the potter's clay. What is the turning of things upside down? We live in a society today where the vessels of wood and earth, the vessels of dishonor, are being held as vessels of gold and silver. They're being held as vessels of honor. I'm gonna give you some examples. I guess I've been heavy on the rap examples today because those are a lot. Those are ones we can relate to, and particularly in the society we're living in today. Sexy Red is absolutely a vessel of dishonor. Megan Thee Stallion, a vessel of dishonor. You understand? Puff Daddy, a vessel of dishonor. Michael Jackson, Prince, vessels of dishonor. R. Kelly, a vessel of dishonor. Um, Kamala Harris, vessel of dishonor. Barack Obama, vessel of dishonor. Martin Luther King, vessel of dishonor. All of these people who God created for us to look at and say, don't be like them. Don't do what they do. Don't follow the path that they are on. Our oppressor has flipped it upside down and put them in the forefront and said, these are your leaders. These are the people you should follow. These are the successful women. You should be like them. Y'all get what I'm saying? God has created the world to be one way. And the men on the earth who are in rebellion against God, who don't want to accept the way God made things to be, are taking everything that God has made for dishonor and taking the people, teaching the people, oh no, that's something to be honored. That's something to be admired and to be looked at and praised and worshiped and, celebrated. And it is this turning of things upside down that has caused God's people to be looked at as the lowest of the low on the earth, to be perceived as criminals and murderers and rapists and pimps and whores and thoughts and all the other things that are portrayed about black people through the media, portrayed about black people around the world. This condition that we are in as black people, where we've been given, we've been lied to about our place in the earth, about our history, and about our culture, and about our way of life, and about who we are. We've been told that our history starts with slavery, and because of that, anything we do is a leg up. Teaching, having that being the reality that exists for most of us as a people. Again, when you start from nothing, anything you do can be considered progress. When you start from nothing, anything you do can be celebrated and can be honored and acknowledged, even if what you're doing is wrong and immoral and disgusting and detrimental to your people. If you speak down on what someone is doing, you hate it. You're just mad they getting money, you not getting money. That doesn't exist in other cultures. In other cultures on the earth, other races of people, you can absolutely be scrutinized for your behavior. Things you do and the things you say can be held against you. There can be consequences and repercussions because, again, among those people, they have their own set standards and cultural norms and things that are acceptable. In the black community, it's largely frowned upon to have any standards or any morals or to tell someone that they're wrong. Everybody understands. But it's necessary to know that we would not, there could not have been a pathway created for us to end up in the condition we're in if someone else hadn't already experienced it. Meaning our oppressor has been able to relegate us to this position in the earth, how we're perceived by other nations because experience. The black condition, the condition of black people in America today is the condition that our oppressor was born from, right? Hear what I'm saying? Being a people who everybody on the earth looks at as violent and immoral and not having dignity and respect of, they'll do anything for a dollar. They'll do anything for money. You can buy any, you can, get them to kill each other and sell each other out and sell each other drugs and, pimp their women out. That was the reputation our oppressor had on the earth. Like, the Caucasian or the European who's ruling the world today, ruling the earth today, that has relegated black people in America to the position of, the lowest of the low and the people at the bottom, that is the condition that they came from. When they first emerged on the world scene, the Caucasian race, you know, were monsters and beasts. They were looked at as, inhuman. And they could be bought and sold. They could be tasked with, they sold their women as whores. Their men would, do anything sexual in order to be able to get ahead. They were the people who everybody else on the earth looked at and said, these are disgusting, foul, dirty people. And they come from nothing. They have no history. They have no culture. They have no morals. They have no way of life. They are cave dwellers. They're the people who never showered and never shaved and walked on all fours and ate out of their grandfather's skulls. And they started from nothing and built themselves up to the world power that they are today. How did they do it? What did it look like when white people first began to come into prominence in the earth? How did they go about establishing a culture for themselves and a history and a past? They people that came out of the caves and came out of nothing. How are they the people that are in power ruling the earth today? That's what we'll get into next. Sister Shawba asked Salakia, how were they able to turn that reputation on to us? That's the question we finna get into now. We're going to get into how did our oppressor go from being at the bottom, rise to the top, and then flip us from being at the top to putting us on the bottom. And then have us, you know, mold the condition for us to be at the bottom, starting from nothing, and being guided by them on how we get up. See, when the Caucasians started to emerge into civilization, they didn't have no one grab them by the hand and walk them through civilization. They didn't have nobody grab them by the hand and teach them culture and walk them through how to be a people, which is how they got to the top because they were the people who were more ruthless than anyone. They were people that were willing to get more low down than anyone else. They were willing to do things that other races of people, because of their culture, because of their beliefs, because of their existence, were not willing to do. Your oppressor that rules the world today is the most cruel, evil, murderous, villainous, wicked, dastardly, disgusting, low to the ground, snake, serpent, dragon, beast on the planet. That's how he got in power. So now let's get into the history of him flipping the script, all right? Let's drop that. Let's get Job chapter 30. Get Job chapter 30. This is the history and the origins of the Caucasians in civilizations. Not the beginning of Caucasians on the earth, but this is the origins of them in civilization. You want to know what was the reputation of Europeans, or the reputation of Caucasians with the other peoples of the earth when they began to emerge um, onto the world stage? Get it for you here. The Bible gives it to you, and what's wild, not wild, but what's necessary to understand is that to this day, white people don't have a history, right? Like to this day, white people don't have a history. Where did white people come from? What is their origin story? What is the earliest days of their civilization? With all of the with the Darwin theory of evolution, with even the religion of Christianity and its, or the way Christianity tells the origin of life. Where did the races of people come from? Where did different races come from? Where did and among where the rate, like even in our the history that's presented to us, right? They tell you, where did everybody start at? Everybody started in Africa. Okay, well, if everybody started in Africa, where did white people come from? They'll tell you, yeah, people migrated north and they migrated into Europe, and because they were in the northern part of the world, their skin got white. Motherfucker, how did you? All the people on the planet have melanin in their skin. Everybody has melanin. That's the ability for their skin to absorb the rays from the sun and to process it and transfer it into energy to fuel our bodies and not harm us. How did these people get created who can't stand the sun, whose skin get burnt by the sun? No melanin to process the light to soak it in, absorb it into our bodies, to transfer it into energy. Who are these people? Where are they from? White people can't even give you their origin story, but the Bible can. And here's the history and the reputation and the origins of Caucasians when they first began to be among people, recognized among people. This is Job chapter 30, verse 1. All right. No. Yeah, Job 30. Job chapter 30, verse 1. Get the book of Job. I was looking at Isaiah. Salah. Get the book of Job. And this history, this knowledge, this understanding is why the Bible is the portal to the fourth dimension, right? The Bible is a portal through time and space to the past, to the future, to right now. The Bible is the medium through which man is able to experience the fourth dimension. And I'm gonna do a series of lectures on the fourth dimension coming up soon. I gotta start writing this stuff down. There's so much things that the Most High been showing me and dealing with me on that I gotta get it written down and really turn it into, you know, uh, what it's capable of being. But the Bible is the medium through which man can transcend space and time. It's all this talk about, black holes and the universe is expanding and the Big Bang and all these concepts that our oppressor is scratching, the depths of his soul to be able to understand. And the answers are right here in this book. The answers are right here in the Bible. You know what I'm saying? You can, like I said, the Bible is the portal through which man can transcend space and time. You want to go back to the origins of life on the earth? Right here in this book. You want to go to the future and see what's going to happen in the end in the last days? Right here in this book. You want to understand the condition that people are in on the earth today and why is it that they are this way? It's in this book. You want to know the origins of the East Indians with the red dots on their forehead and why they worship what they worship and live the way they live. You can go back to it right here in this book. You want to understand homosexuality and the spiritual turmoil that somebody who accepts that way of life undergoes, right here in this book. You want to know about a woman who's a promiscuous, a woman who uses her body to get what she wants and isn't shamed or has no reservations about it. You want to understand what's going on inside of her mind and in her spirit and in her core, right here in this book. You want to understand, the greed of rich people, the cruelty of rich people, right here in this book. You can go anywhere in human existence right here through this book. Everybody understands. But let's get the origins of the Caucasian race, all right, their reputation on the earth in their beginnings of coming in contact with civilized people. Job chapter 30, verse 1. It says, "But now they that are younger than I have me in derision, whose fathers I would have disdained to have set with the dogs of my flock." Now, Job is talking about a people that are younger than him. Job and his people, they've been established in the earth for some time. Job and his people, they are seasoned, right? They're established. But there are some, but they that are younger than I have him confused, whose fathers I would have disdained to have set with the dogs of my flock. There are people whose fathers, right? Because Job is old. Job people have been here. They established in the land. But there are they who are younger than him have him confused, whose fathers he would have hated to have lying out in the field with his dogs. Hear that clearly. Keep reading. Yea, whereto might the strength of their hands profit me, in whom old age was perished. You understand? Yea, whereto might this, meaning, yea, whereto might the strength of their hands profit me, in whom old age was perished. Meaning, there was a time he wouldn't let these people's fathers be in the field among his dogs, because what would it have profited him to have them out there, um, knowing that in his old age he would perish? Right? So he started verse 1 again. But now they that are younger than I have me in derision. What is derision? Derision is like confusion. Derision is like stuck between a rock and a hard place, right? Derision. All right, derision is the use of ridicule or scorn to show contempt, a state of being laughed at or ridiculed, a state of being derided. Everybody understands? So they are laughing at Job, ridiculing Job, clowning Job, and Job is looking at them like, hey, y'all beneath me. I wouldn't have let your fathers be in the field among my dogs. That's how low you are, right? Yea, whereto might the strength of their hands profit me, in whom old age was perished? He said, how could the strength of their hands help me, in whom old age is perished? It meaning in his old age, no, in whom old age was perished, meaning in their old age they perished. Let me see something. Meaning these people don't live long. Let me see something. Okay, hold up. Profit me in whom. Okay, old age in this sense is not literal old age, but it's it's his youthful strength. Right? So I'm gonna read one more time. Verse 2. Yea, whereto might the strength of their hands profit me, in whom old age was perished? Meaning, how might the strength of their hands profit me if my strength has gone away? They can't help me if my strength has gone away. That's why they have him in derision. That's why they're mocking him. They're mocking him because you old, your time is past. Your run at the top is over with now. Now we in charge. Now we the ones running it. Which is why Job is saying, whereto might the strength of their hands profit me, in whom old age was perished? My time is over. And they're young and on the rise, they cannot profit me. Right? Verse 3. For want and famine they were solitary, fleeing into the wilderness in former time, desolate and waste. This is a people that Job is talking about. A race of people that now are laughing and mocking at him. But there was a time where these people couldn't even be left outside. Job would have hated for his dogs to keep company with these people. But in his old age and him falling off and them rising up, Job is saying their strength can't profit me. And he's giving you their background. For want and famine, they were solitary, meaning what? They were isolated. These people were not among other people. They were isolated. Fleeing into the wilderness in former time, desolate and waste. They fled into the wilderness in the former time. Back in the day, they fled. They got off the scene. They went and laid low. They disappeared. Where? Verse 4, who cut up mallows by the bushes and juniper roots for their meats. They cut up mallows by the bushes. What are mallows? Mallows are roots. These people weren't farming. These people weren't out there tilling the soil. They were cutting up the roots of the bushes and eating that. You understand? They were yeah, juniper roots were their meat. These are people that got by scavenging. They got by on, you know, the bare minimum. They weren't eating anything that was considered to be food because they didn't have any knowledge of farming. They weren't able to cultivate anything. They weren't domesticating any animals. They weren't out there hunting and gathering. Nah, these people were just eating whatever the earth made available to them. Verse 5, they were driven forth from among men. They cried after them as after a thief. These people were forced into isolation. They were ran off by all the civilized people. They were chased away. You understand? They cried after them as after a thief. Why did the people cry at them? Because they were monsters, because they were uncivilized, because they weren't considered like everybody else. So where did they go when they were ran off? Where did they go when they were chased away? When everybody cried after them as after a thief? Verse 6, to dwell in the cliffs of the valleys, in caves of the earth, and in the rocks. They were driven into the mountains. They were driven into the caves. They were driven into the canyons and the clefts of the rocks. They were driven to the places where you couldn't farm. They were driven to the places where you couldn't domesticate any animals. They were driven to the places where you couldn't build and uh you know, you couldn't build and you couldn't have society, have civilization because the resources were so scarce. And the what was available was the bare minimum. Everybody understands. Verse 7, among the bushes they brayed, under the nettles they were gathered together. Meaning what? They slept among the bushes. They were out there in the wilderness. They slept among the bushes like how cats and like how wild dogs do, wolves. They made themselves dens and made their home in caves, and they slept by the bushes. They would cut a bush down and cover themselves in a bush. They didn't have houses. They didn't have, teepees and mounds. They were up there in the clefts of the rock and in the caves and in the canyons where no mankind dwelt. This is the origin of Europeans right here in the Bible. Verse 8, they were children of fools, yea, children of base men. They were viler than the earth. They were considered the lowest of the low. They were base men. What does it mean to be base? To be base is you live at the very lowest levels of civilization. You're in the dirt. And when you're in the dirt, when you live in the dirt, what's your morality? What's your right and wrong? What's your governor over what's acceptable and unacceptable? You don't have one. You can't afford to have one. You do whatever you need to do to get by. Anything is acceptable. Everything is acceptable. Why? Because when you start with nothing, anything is progress. That's the circumstances that our oppressor was born from. Farad said low lives. Yes. That is how our oppressor started out. And so when you start from nothing and you go to build yourself up, anything is better than nothing. And for our oppressor, that's why anything and everything is acceptable to them. Because there is no low that is too low for them. There is no evil that is too evil for them. There is no cruelty that is too cruel for them. And so, with themselves starting here, their history in the earth, their legacy in the earth is one of murdering, raping, robbing, killing, and assuming the identities of other people. All the history that we have today that exists as Caucasian history is history that was stolen from other people. The only real Caucasian history that exists is Roman history. And even in the Roman history, they themselves are children that were fed by wolves. The only meaning this, okay, the Spanish have a history, right? The Germans have a history. The French have a history. The English have a history. The Dutch and the people of the Netherlands all have a history, right? That history is not white people's history. The original Spaniards, the original Dutch, the original French, the original British, the original Germans, the original Italians, the original um, Russians, all of them were dark skinned people. The sons of Japheth in the Bible, the sons of Japheth were a dark skinned race of people. Those are the original Europeans. They became Caucasian because when white people came out of the caves and came among civilized people, they conquered, killed, raped, and pillaged everybody, and then assumed the identity of the people they murdered, raped, conquered, and pillaged. They just became those people. That's why here in America today, the majority of identifying government accepted Native Americans, they're Caucasian people. They're not actually blood descendants of the Native Indians. They're just people who killed them and said, "Oh no, I'm a Choctaw now. I'm a Sioux. I'm a Cherokee." It's just what they've been doing since they came out of the caves. They murder, rape, kill, and then assume the identity of the people they take over. Isn't that what they did with the Israelites? Let's just let's get it in the Bible, right? These people came out of let's get a couple scriptures before we get to them taking everybody's identity, right? Job 30 and 1 down to 8 gives us the historical origins of the Caucasians and how they were made to be the vessels of dishonor. But they have flipped it. They've taken the potter's clay and flipped it, which is what we read in Isaiah 29. They've turned upside down the things that God created. And they've taken themselves from being vessels of dishonor and made themselves to be vessels of honor. And they've taken the people that were made to be the vessels of honor, the children of God, and turned them into vessels of dishonor. And now they get to appear to be the vessels of gold and silver in the earth, and we appear to be the vessels of wood and earth, when in actuality, we're the gold and silver, and they're the wood and earth. Right? So how did they go from their origins being at the bottom, being the basest, vilest, low lives on the earth, to being the ones who are at the top? Give me give me ooh, um there's a word, terribleness. Well, the Bible got some words for you. This is when you understand when you get started to understand the Hebrew language, right? You go into the Hebrew language. This scripture here, uh, um, it's a heavy one because the word that has been translated into English as terribleness is a word in the Hebrew language that is, it's like, you know, If there's a word for eviler than evil, this is the word terribleness in English, right? Let's get Jeremiah chapter 49. Jeremiah chapter 49. And this is the Most High speaking to our oppressor. This is the Most High speaking to Edom. If you don't know, Job 30 and 1 is talking about the nation of Esau, or the children of Edom, right? Jeremiah chapter 49 is also talking to Edom. Edom or Esau today is the Caucasian race or the Europeans. Not the original people, but the ones who are living there now. All right. Jeremiah chapter 49, verse 15. It says, "For lo, I will make thee small among the heathen and despised among men." On the grand scale of races on the earth, Europeans are the least populated. They're the least. They're the smallest minority on the earth. That's what I'm trying to say. Caucasians are the Caucasian race. When I say that, I'm not talking about people of Eurasia. I'm not including East Indians. I'm not including the Asia Chinese and the Orientals. I'm talking about Caucasians, white people, whether they in France, Spain, Germany, France, Netherlands, Scotland, Ireland, America today, they are still the lowest in population size of all the other races on the earth. You go to Africa, there's way more Africans than there are white people. There's way more Chinese than there are white people. There's way more East Indians than there are white people. There's way more blacks, Hispanics, and Native Indians than there are white people. They are small and greatly despised among the heathen. It may be hard for you to see and wrap your mind around that because of America, right? And what's presented to us. But the other people on the earth largely outweigh white people. Another thing, too, that's being talked about very openly among financial scholars that ain't talked about in the regular news are the dwindling birth rates among white people and Europeans. Like, white people are not making babies at all, like other races are. East Indians make it's a billion in them. The Chinese, it's 8 billion in them. It's the blacks and the Hispanics and Native Indians. Even with abortion, birth rates through the roof. White people are not making babies like that. And it's an issue and a problem that it's their forecasting is going to begin to rear its head in the next 10 to 15 years. I think I was watched a documentary about Japan and how the birth rates in Japan are so low that in 15 years the rate of people leaving the workforce, meaning old people retiring versus new people starting to come into the workforce, is going to be like 1 to 20 in Japan, meaning there's one new person entering the workforce for every 20 that are retiring in 20 years. Why? Because over the last 25, 30 years, Japanese ain't been having no babies. Why not? Because the Japanese are following the Western blueprint of society and civilization and capitalism and you know the scarcity of resources and the price of everything being through the roof to where the Japanese stopped making babies. But that ain't an issue in China. That ain't an issue in East India. That ain't an issue among the other nations who are still living in their culture and their way of life. It's not an issue for the Arabs. It is an issue for those white people, though. Everybody understands. This is all of that is verification that this scripture is relevant and up to date with the world we're in. All right. One more time. Jeremiah 49, verse 15. For lo, I will make thee small among the heathen and desist among men. Verse 16, thy terribleness has deceived thee. You understand? Thy terribleness has deceived thee, and the pride of thine heart, O thou that dwells in the clefts of the rock, that holds the height of the hill. Though thou should make thy nest as high as the eagle, I will bring thee down from there, saith the Lord. Who is this talking to? Clearly, it's speaking to the troglodytes of the earth. What is a troglodyte? A troglodyte is a cave dweller. Why is God talking to the people from the caves? Because the people from the caves have risen to the top. How? Through their terribleness. Their terribleness has deceived them because they were more cruel than the cruel, more evil than the evil, more wicked than the wicked, more murderous than the murderers. They believe that they're untouchable. They believe that they are on top and nobody can take them down. Who going to defeat us? We got the nuclear weapons. We got all the tanks and the bombs. We'll wipe out your grandmother's neighborhood. We'll feed your whole race crack cocaine. Watch you get high, destroy yourselves, rape your children, kill your brothers, molest you, do all evil things. And then we'll go and tell the whole world, look at them. They ain't shit. They just gangsters and killers and thugs. Their women are just whores and prostitutes and selling their vagina. Look at they men dressed up in dresses and in drag, and look at they women aborting their babies and murdering their children. Look at them coming across this border with they're just drug dealers and they're murderers. They're really wicked people, and we need to take our country back. You see how terrible they are? Your oppressor, his terribleness has deceived him. And the Lord said, though you've set your nest as high as the eagle, I'm going to bring you down. That is how they rose to power. That is how they came up in the world. Verse 17, also Edom shall be a desolation. Everyone that goes by it shall be astonished and shall hiss at the plagues thereof. They rose to the top, but God said he's going to bring them down. God said when he brings them down, their destruction is going to be so great that everybody that looks at them are going to hiss at them. What does it mean to hiss at somebody? A hiss ain't like a cat do. The Bible's so beautiful in the descriptive language that it uses. Again, the Bible is the medium through which we can traverse time and space via the fourth dimension, right? You can go back in time and learn what people in the past called things we do today through the Bible. What was smoking before we called it smoking? Burning incense to other gods. What was being a hoe before we called it being a hoe? Being a shameless woman. What was being a sellout before niggas was selling out? Being a hypocrite. What was shaking my head at somebody before we called it shaking my head? Hissing at them. You want to know what it is to hiss at something? This is hissing at somebody. Ain't shit. Ain't nothing. Look at you. Fucked up. Down bad. You thought you was the shit, didn't you? You ain't nothing. That's hissing in the Bible. The way God describes people on the earth looking at the downfall of the Caucasian, hissing at them. Read it one more time. Jeremiah chapter 49, verse 17. Also, Edom shall be a desolation. Everyone that goes by it shall be astonished and shall hiss at all the plagues thereof. Everybody gonna look at the destruction and say, look at them, man. They knocked off. They destroyed. Look at the plagues, man. Look at how destroyed they are. That's That's the Bible. All right. I'm gonna drop this on. I could keep reading this scripture, but I'm gonna drop it. So that's how they got out of the mud. It's how they picked themselves up. It's how they got to the top. And when they got to the top, they turned everything on its head. Right? Um, Again, part of them getting their part of their terribleness has been them assuming the identities of other people. They just murder, kill, rape, and then just they become you. Erase you from the history books and then become you. Again, what has happened to black people in America, Hispanic and Native Indian people in America, is not unique in that all our oppressor has done. Not okay. It is unique in that we're the only people who were at the top that fell to the bottom. No one else who has been at the top has ever fallen to the bottom. You look at all the other empires and all the other civilizations and all the other races of people that have ever had an empire or powerful seat on the earth, they never fail to being at the bottom. They might have fallen in the hierarchy a little bit. They might have been knocked down a peg or two, but they never fell down to the bottom. The Chinese, with all of their wars and their fighting and their conquering and being conquered, they never forgot they were Chinese. They never lost their connection to their past. They never lost their history and their culture. The Persians, right? That's Iran today. The Persians, they had a great empire. They were conquered by the Greeks, but they didn't fall to the bottom. They didn't forget about Persia and the history of Xerxes and Darius and Cyrus the Great. No, their history is still intact. Their language is still intact. Their culture is still on the earth. Hell, even the Africans, all the empires in Africa, you know, Egypt and Sudan and Ethiopia and Mansa Musa and the Zulu Nation and the warriors and what's my man Nelson Mandela. They were conquered. They experienced apartheid. They had white people in their land and ruling over them. But guess what? Their history wasn't wiped out. They still speak their language and they got their culture and they things they can be proud of. They never fell to the bottom. When the Europeans encountered us in this land, they made it their business to bring us to the bottom, wiped out our history. There's so much Native American history that was not even 100, 200 years ago was thriving. I'm talking about mounds and burial sites and all types of archaeology that proved that the Hebrew people were here in America, that there were other cultures, Egyptian culture here in America, Oriental culture here in America, and the white man just wiped it out. You go look at pictures of St. Louis and Kansas City, great giant mounds where the Native Indians had built metropolises and civilizations and cultural centers. White man bought bulldozers and just ran right through all of that land, knocked it all down, and built a city on top of it. There's so many lakes and rivers and streams that and creeks that flow through these back countries down here in the South, in Tennessee and North Carolina, South Carolina, and Arkansas and Mississippi, where this lake that sits here used to be a Native Indian community. It was a black community with black people who knew who they were going back 300 years ago, have been living here for 1,000 years. The white man just flooded it and said, oh yeah, this is Lake Tallahatchie. Lake Tallahatchie sits where the Tallahatchie people used to be. All over the West Coast, they built dams to stop the flow of rivers, to stop the Colorado, to redirect the the Salt Lake or the Salt River. They built all types of architecture to dry out the land to kill off all the Native Indians that lived in this place. I told y'all about a lake in Pennsylvania, between Virginia and Pennsylvania, called Lake Anna. Lake Anna was a man-made lake that Europeans established to flood a Native Indian village that lived, Native Indian, I'm talking about mega plot of land. And they just flooded it because we can't outroot all these people. We can't get all of them out of this valley. The valley is too big, it's too wide, they know the land too well. Okay, we'll just redirect some aqueducts. We'll just flood this whole place and murder all of them in the water. That is so much of the landscape of America today. You could not imagine how different this place looked 300 years ago, 400 years ago. And there's so much information available in articles from the 1930s to let you know that these places were real. And these, archaeologists or land surveyors on purpose flooded lands that they knew held the keys to the history of the knowledge that our people were in this land and knew that we were the children of God. We knew we were the Israelites. We were reading Hebrew, writing Hebrew. We had records of ourselves. We had the Bible before the white man came to it with the English version. We knew our history. We knew our past. We knew who we were. We knew our connection to God. Now, that doesn't mean we were living righteously. That doesn't mean we were obeying the Lord. Clearly, we weren't. That's why we were conquered and destroyed. But our oppressor made sure he wiped that history out. Made sure that when he taught us about who we were, he started with slavery. Because if you start with nothing, anything you do can be considered progress. That is how they took us, the vessels that God made for honor, the gold and silver, and made us vessels of dishonor, made us vessels of wood and earth. You understand? Farad Ben Judah said, I grew up in Ohio. They taught about all that. They didn't teach my kids nothing about that here in Mississippi. Yeah. Farad, up there in Ohio, I'm talking about tons of mounds and earthworks, but tons of history about who we were. And our oppressors confiscated it all, and in many cases, destroyed those places, destroyed those lands. Because if you erase a people's history, they don't exist. They're nobodies, they're nothings. And when you start from nothing, anything you do is progress. Our oppressor, in rising to the top, put us into the position that he started out from. But rather than us becoming terrible like them and being cruel and murderous and killers, we don't have that spirit in us. We aren't made to be the vessels of dishonor. So it's dysfunctional for us to operate out of cruelty. It's dysfunctional for us to operate out of wickedness. It's dysfunctional for us to operate out of evil because we were made to operate out of righteousness. We were made to operate out of honor. We were made to operate out of obedience to God, which is why the way of life that our oppressor has given us doesn't work for Black people. It's the reason why our culture today is a destructive, murderous, not destructive. It's a word I'm looking for. Like, we can't rise with this way of life. We cannot be productive with this culture. We cannot rule the earth with the same culture that our oppressor has. Only way we can rule the earth or be progressive in society or become who we were meant to be in the earth is if we reclaim the place that God made for us. Our oppressor is doing exactly what he was made to do. He's playing the role he was born for. They were made to be the wicked, made to be the evil, made to be the terrible. And they are benefiting at it. We were not made to be that, which is why We suffer trying to play their position. What we as black people need to do is reconnect to our past, reconnect to our history, find our former glory, and do what it was that elevated us back in that time. That's what these classes are about. That's what this Bible is about. Let me get that. See something. Reconnect to the past. Let me see something. Okay. Why is this doing this, bro? Hold on, man. That app is tripping. My bad, y'all. I don't know why my app doing this, man. Bible app ain't working, bro. Oh, this is wild. Why the search function ain't working? No, this is crazy. It's crazy. The Bible app tripping. Hold on, let me go. Bear with me, y'all. Hold on. Oh, come on. Hold on. Oh man, bro. This thing tripping, y'all. Here we go. Gotta be an update or something. Okay, here we go. All right, bear with me, y'all. Time pass, Slayer. Time pass. I believe. Okay, hold on. Hold on. All right, let's get Isaiah chapter 46. All right, this is Isaiah chapter 46, verse 9. All right, Isaiah 46 and 9. This is what the Most High is calling us to do now. Understanding that not all vessels were made for honor. Understanding that not everybody is going to be, not everybody was made to be a leader. Not everybody was made to be the one in the forefront. Not everybody's voice is a voice that was made to be heard, or that everybody should hear and should acknowledge and listen to, right? Understanding these things, how do we, being a people that were told that our history starts with slavery, how do we rise above that, elevate beyond that, and reestablish ourselves as the people that God called us to be? The answer to that is right here in the scripture. Okay, my phone tripping, man. I gotta see what's going on. Isaiah 46, verse 9. All right. Isaiah chapter 46, verse 9 says, remember the former things of old, for I am the Most High, and there is none else. I am the Most High, and there is none like me, declaring the end from the beginning, and from ancient times the things that are not yet done, saying, my counsel shall stand, and I will do all my pleasure. Everybody understands. Calling a ravenous bird from the east, the man that executeth my counsel from a far country. Yea, I have spoken it. I will also bring it to pass. I have purposed it. I will also do it. Hearken unto me, ye stout-hearted, that are far from righteousness. I bring near my righteousness. It shall not be far off, and my salvation shall not tarry, and I will place salvation in Zion for Israel, my glory. Everybody understands. The end of all of this is the Most High doing what he said he would do. Is the Most High, hold on, tap triangle press covers. Most High doing what he said he would do and being who he promised us that he would be. The onus is on us to take heed. The onus on us is to hear what it is the Lord is saying and to honor him by assuming the position that he made for us in being the vessels of honor. Let me see something. Bear with me, y'all. Bear with me, okay? All right. See if that make my app move. So lucky, y'all. This Bible app tripping. I like to keep these notes on there, and it ain't even let me do my note. Uh-uh. That's wild. Um, it was Isaiah chapter 46, verse 9 down to 13. Uh, One more scripture on our oppressor and them, part of their terribleness being them killing and murdering and raping and then assuming uh, the identity of other peoples, particularly what they've done to our people. All right. This is Revelations chapter 3 and verse 2. Our oppressor has done this to all peoples on the earth, but it is recorded here in the Bible because they did it to the children of God. They did it to the children of Israel as well. Our oppressor has no history, has no culture, has no origin, which is why the only identity he's ever had on the earth is one that he's stolen from other people. We read in the Bible today in Job, the 30th chapter, the origins of the Caucasians in civilization, in society, their reputation among the other nations, given as a witness from someone who lived during the time that they were chased into the caves. How did they go from being those people to being the prominent powers on the earth? We read in that Jeremiah 49, it was because of their terribleness, right? Part of their terribleness is their propensity to murder, rape, kill, and then just assume your identity. And they did it with the children of God. And the evidence is here in Revelation, the third chapter. Revelation chapter 3, verse, or is it Revelations 2? Hold on. Okay, hold on. It's Revelation chapter 3, verse 9. It says, Behold, I will make them of the synagogue of Satan, which say they are Jews and are not, but do lie. Behold, I will make them to come and worship before thy feet, and to know that I have loved thee. This is God speaking to the children of Israel, telling them that I know the lie of them that say they are Jews. And when I punish them, I'm going to make them come and bow at your feet and to know that I have loved you. Everybody understand? Verse 10, because thou hast kept the word of my patience, I will also keep thee from the hour of temptation, which shall come upon all the world to try them that dwell upon the earth. Behold, I come quickly, hold that fast which thou hast, that no man take that crown. Take thy crown. Him that overcometh will I make a pillar in the temple of my God, and he shall go no more out, and I will write upon him the name of my God, and the name of the city of my God, which is New Jerusalem, which cometh down out of heaven from my God, and I will write upon him my new name. He that have the ear, let him hear what the Spirit saith unto the churches. Everybody understand? That's the words coming from our King Yahushua, spoken to John in a vision concerning the time we're in now, where there's an evil lie on the earth. And that evil lie is that there are people saying that they are Jews. They are not. And the time is going to come when they're going to come and worship at the feet of the real Jews, and the earth is going to know that God loved them. Uh, all of that concludes today's discussion concerning the vessels of honor and the vessels of dishonor as they were created by God and as they were meant to be recognized and acknowledged in the earth today. Um, with that, with the Israelite School of Universal Practical Knowledge out of 1 West 125th Street in Harlem, New York, since 1969, we've been teaching so-called blacks, Hispanics, and Native Indians the truth according to the Bible. What is the truth? Truth is that so-called blacks, Hispanics, and Native Indians descend from the greatest people that have ever walked the face of the earth. The Bible identifies us as the lost 12 tribes of the nation of Israel. In the year 2024, there is nothing more important than for God's chosen people to learn the truth of who we are, where we come from, and what our purpose is on the earth. And that's what we do with these classes. Give brothers and sisters the opportunity to go into the Bible, to gain the knowledge, wisdom, and understanding that the Most High has placed inside of there in order for us to be able to come back to being who he called us to be and to reclaim our righteous place on the earth as kings, priests, princes, princesses, and daughters of Zion. With that being said, Priest and Captain Soccer War here in Memphis. Shalom.